Hey guys, this is just a quick update video. I'm actually on my way up to the MGM right now. I just stopped at a Walmart here, just short of Midlothian, just to pick up a few things. But just want to go over a few quick things. The last time, when the video came out, the second video, that was on a Tuesday. That was October 24th. That like coincided with like the first downswing I've ever really had. So on Tuesday, I think we lost like, I'll put the graph up. I think we lost 500 or so on Tuesday. Then Wednesday we lost over 1,000. Thursday we actually had a pretty big winning session. At least it started off pretty big. And then I recorded a lot of hands and a lot of analysis during these few days here. And then for some reason it didn't transfer over and it got lost, so I don't have it saved. But I specifically remember Thursday we were up a lot, probably around 2,000 at one point. We made some killer bluffs that were for sure good bluffs, big bluffs, and we just got called. Like I mean I know one of the hands was like we flopped something. We flopped like a pair. It was like a 9-6-6 board or something, and then it was like a 10-7 or so. We had like pretty much blockers all the full houses and stuff, and we ended up making like a check raising turn, potting river, and got called by the worst full house possible after like 5 agonizing minutes. We just made like just a bunch of bluffs that day that didn't work out, so we only ended up making like a $400 day or whatever. So, and then Friday was an interesting day. We lost around 2,000, and we were at a table. We just ran bad that whole week. That week we lost like 3,000. But Friday in particular, we were at a table. One of the floor people called me to come over and explain that someone had just sat down at the table with like 8 orange. You can only buy them for 700, but they had 8 orange on them. Never played PLO before. Like literally had to have the rules explained. Like you have to play 2 cards from your hand, 3 from the board. So like literally never played. And so I was like, that's great. You know, maybe I can make back some of this money that I lost this week. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think we beat him in a single pot. The first hand that he played, he called a check raise on the turn on a paired board. Called a check raise on the turn with a jack high flush draw. Hit the jack high flush draw in the river and called a big river bet. So while everybody else was looking confused, like as to why he did that, we knew this was literally his first time playing. He has no idea of what hand strengths are in this game or anything like that. But every time we got into a pot with this guy, he beat us. He just beat us every single time. And then he would redistribute our money around the table within 5-10 minutes every single time. So we broke a lot of rules. Like I was buying in for 700, reloading for 700 when I normally never ever do that. We went way past our buy-in amount. I normally never ever do that. I wasn't leaving that game while he was still there at the table. So what ended up happening was he was in for, I don't even remember how many bullets, at least 4 or 5 bullets. And what happened then was this guy who was a big stack, who was away for literally an hour and a half. I mean, they should have picked his chips up off the table, but he comes back after like an hour and a half. I think he went to eat at Fish by Jose Andres up at the MGM. It's a nice restaurant at the MGM. And he comes back after an hour and a half, sits down. First hand he plays, the big fish at the table, the guy with the guy had 8 orange chips and was just rebuying like crazy. He had like 1,000 in his stack at this time. First hand, this guy sits down, stacks him, takes all his chips, busts him, and the guy ends up leaving the table. So at that point, I was like, well, fuck it. I was already in for, I don't even remember how much. I just remember taking my chips off the table at that point because he got up to leave and he wasn't coming back. So I just gathered up my chips, cashed them out, down 1,900. So that week I was like, wow, we got absolutely railroaded. Then I wanted to come back. I came back on, I think, Monday or Tuesday. I mean, it'll all be in the graphs or whatever, but the next day that I come back after taking the weekend off, I tried my hand at 5-card, because 5-card is a super profitable game, but just the variance is just insane. And I don't 100% sure, I definitely don't know. There's a lot of different nuances between 5-card and 4-card, but I just get absolutely leveled in 5-card. I think we lost like 11 or 1300 or 1200, somewhere around there. So from that Tuesday to after I lost that 5-card session, that was like a 4-point-something K downswing, like by far the biggest downswing I've ever been on. So I was, and I was, the 5-card session was something entirely different, because there were just weird spots in there. Like in 5-card, I remember flopping middle set with a double gut shot on like a queen 9-7 or something. I had like middle set and a double gut shot, and I called a check raise on the flop, and I was like, fuck, this guy's got queens. I would never fold middle set and a double gut shot in 4-card, but I was like, man, should I be folding this spot here? Called the check raise on the flop. The turn was a complete brick. It was like a deuce, and the guy potted it, and I was like, this is 5-card, I guess. And I couldn't fold it, and he ended up having queens, and I was like 95.5% sure he had queens, but I couldn't let it go. So I don't want to say I ran bad in 5-card. I definitely lost some flips, but 5 cards is just a crazy game. So we were down like 4-point-something K, but then the rest of that week we earned a little bit of it back, I think. So after we lost 3K, like in the last week of October, we lost like 3K or so. We made like, I don't know, it'll all be in the graphs I'll have on here. I think we made like 2K or so the following week. And then the week after that, we made like 3.3K. And then this week, I just played a couple days. So now this is Friday, I guess the 17th, heading up the gym. We played a couple days, we're up like 1800 or so. So we actually had that pretty big downswing, and then we're on a pretty decent upswing right now. About close to a 7K upswing now, immediately following that downswing. So we're fighters, we fight back, you know, that's what we do. So we went on a downswing, we went on an upswing. One other quick thing, or two other quick things I want to talk about. Pretty sure we definitely got, 100% sure we got angle shot. This was during our upswing, so I don't remember exactly when this occurred, but we're in the middle of the upswing now at this point. What happened was, I went on a small break, maybe like a 15-20 minute break. I come back, I post from the cutoff. Okay, it folds to me. I post, it folds to me. I have jack. What do I have here? I have jack, either like 10-8 or 9-8. Jack, I have an 8 and either a 9 or a 10 or a 7. Either a 9, 10, or 7. Post from the cutoff, folds to me, make a 15, button calls, big blind calls. Big blind is the villain in this hand. He's an Indian. I played with him a lot. He's a very shifty. If there's one word to describe him, it's shifty. He's a shifty character, okay? He's just super shifty. He calls. So the flop comes down 8, deuce, deuce. So we pair our 8. We have an overpair to the board. Big blind checks to us. We bet 30 in the 45. Button folds. Big blind calls. Turn is the money card. Turn's a jack. Top boat. He checks to us. So what is there? There's like about 100 in the pot. A little over 100. I put 3 green chips out. All right, 3 green chips, $75. He thinks about it for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I don't exactly remember how long he thought about it. Then he puts out 5 green chips. So, so I think at that point the dealer asked him, I don't exactly remember how this goes, but he's like, if you're raising, like you have to put another green chip. And he's like, okay, all right. So he puts out 1 more green chip. So min raises me to 150. So I'm just always gonna flat in this position. I'm in position on him. So I'm gonna flat here. I think it's pretty clear he has a deuce here. I don't want to blow him off a deuce. He could also just be bluffing. If he's just bluffing, I want to give him some rope to hang himself. So just 100% just gonna flat here. I think about it for a little bit, toss in the call. The river's not great. The river's probably the worst card in the deck, besides the deuce. So it's another 8. So we have Jack, Jack, like 8-7. It's 8, deuce, deuce, Jack, 8 now. So, you know, it's not the card I wanted to see. And as I, you know, feared, he ends up just checking the river. So I'm thinking, you know, I want to get paid, but I don't know exactly how much he's going to call here. He's probably got a deuce. You know, he's probably a little bit concerned right now. So there was like 150. There's probably about 400 in the pot. A little over 400. I bet 125. I believe I put 5 green chips out there. Or it might have just been a black and cream. That's not really important. What happens then, after I make my bet of 125, he for sure has 5 green chips in his hand. He has them just like this, and he's thinking about it. And then this is exactly what he does. And I saw it happen because he's looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And I saw what happened. The dealer saw what happened. The dealer was very, very observant. The player on my direct right saw what happened. So he's like in the 1 or the 2 seat, and I'm like in 9, 8, 7. I'm in the 7 seat. So he's at the other end of the table. So, and the player on his right saw what happened. He takes the chips like this. There's the line that goes around the whole table, and he pushes the chips forward like this. Never lets the chips out of his hand, and does this maneuver right here, like just like that. So I saw that, and I was like, what was that? What was that right there? And the dealer was like, well, that's going to be a call. And the guy was like, what? No. He's like, I didn't. He's like, why? And the dealer was like, you pushed your chips out in front of the line, and it was like forward motion. It was pretty clear. Your chips went out, you know, several inches. And he's like, I didn't do that. And the player on his right was like, you definitely did that. The player on my right was like, you definitely did that. I mean, I wasn't really confused, but I was like, why would you do that? I was thinking in my head, but I didn't say anything at the time. But the dealer was like, listen, we can call the floor over here. He's going to agree with me, but you called there. You pushed your chips out. And he argued and argued. And I was just like, whatever, man. After like a minute or so, I was like, you put your chips out there. You might have not even realized you did it, but your chips were definitely out in front of the line. So he begrudgingly puts in the call after the floor, or after the dealer's like, I'll call the floor over. They're going to agree with us, and they're going to say that it's a call. So he doesn't even argue the point at that point. He throws the chips out there. Obviously, I have the best hand. But I played with this guy before. He's shady as fuck. He's not somebody I look forward to playing with hands. He's not good. I mean, he's honestly pretty bad, but he's just a really shady character. Only other thing that I wanted to else bring up was saw Alec Torelli on, I think it was the 9th, so it was on a Thursday, so it was last Thursday. Happened to see there was a name on the 1025 no limit hold'em game. It said Alec T. He was first up on the list. I was like, oh man, I bet that's Alec Torelli. And I was talking with my buddy David, who was there also, and he's like, I forget what he said. I think he's like, nah, it's probably not. It's probably somebody else. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Alec Torelli. Alec T on a 1025 game. So after maybe like an hour or so, I noticed that name was off the list. That game was being played in the center of the poker room on table 38, I believe it was. So I just happened to walk over there, and there he was, Alec the Angelshooter. Sorry about that, my phone ran out of storage, so we had to improvise. But one other thing about that guy, when he made that move, and this is the reason I'm pretty sure it was an angle shoot, he was like looking directly at me to get a reaction when he did that little chip shuffle like that. So it seemed pretty clear to me, and plus I have history with him, and he's the type of player that would definitely do that to get a reaction if his opponent wanted to call or not. The only other thing that happened since the last video came out to now, so last Thursday, which would have been the 9th, I was playing that day, and I was playing with my buddy David and a few other friends that I know from there, and happened to see on the 1025 no limit list top of the list, first name, Alec T. So I was talking to Dave, I was like, I bet you that's Alec Torelli. And he's like, nah, probably not. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it is. It's a 1025 list. I mean, you know, it just seemed kind of logical that it would be him. And then maybe like an hour later or so, I forget what I did. I think I might have left the poker room, did a few things, come back. Name is not on the list. So that game was being played in the center of the poker room. There's two center tables, table 39, table 38. So that game was table 38. So I walk over to table 38 and I'm looking at the table, and there he is, like in seat 9, 8, 7, 6. I believe he was in the 6th seat. You know, the premier angle shooter himself, Alec T. So I was like, oh wow, that's pretty interesting. So I was like, David, I was like, it's Alec. It's definitely Alec Torelli. Let's go over there and take a look. I have another friend named David. I was like, Alec Torelli's here. He's like, get out of here. So he went and saw him too. So yeah, just from one angle shooter to another. But the good news is, I mean, I don't know if this actually happened. I heard from a few people he got absolutely curb stomped in that 1025 game. So I mean, if that was the case, you know, that seems like fair justice to me. But yeah, that was the only other interesting thing that happened. Alec Torelli sighting. Not sure exactly what he was doing at the MGM. I know Jungle Man's been there, but you know, Jungle Man grew up in Maryland. Tony Dunst was there for the there's some Washington DC radio show. I think it's Sports Junkies. I think it's a Sports Junkie show, and they're big poker players. And I think they asked Tony Dunst to. I think their tournament normally took place at the Borgata, but this year it took place at the MGM here. I think they asked Tony Dunst to show up, and he did. Tony's a nice guy or whatever. So I mean, I've seen Allen Iverson playing at the roulette table also. You definitely see some like big names there. It's a very, very nice casino. A lot of money. Great place to play. Honestly, it's a great place to play. I like traveling, like visiting other casinos and stuff. But as far as if I had to pick one casino, at least on the East Coast, MGM would be probably the best casino, nicest casino, most profitable casino. So that's where I'm heading right now. Just want to give you a quick update on what has been going on. There's definitely some things on Black Friday that I'm going to be getting. 55-inch TV from Walmart, $300. What else? Probably going to be getting a new computer, possibly a new phone. Most likely we'll be spending some money on Black Friday here. But I plan on playing this weekend. Today's Friday. Plan on playing today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then coming back to Lynchburg, do some Black Friday shopping. From there, I have no idea. We will see. But that's all for now.